Sorry. All right, we
Hey,
good.
hey, Nella, thank you so much for being my first guest on Let's Talk Thursdays. This episode is actually going to be shown in August, and it's a pre-recorded video. And
Okay.
for today, we're going to be talking about divorce. And before we get into our topic, please share with everyone that's going to be watching some background about you.
Awesome. Well, my name is Antonella. I am a woman of God. I am also a fashion designer here in the Tampa Bay area. And so you and I, we've met a couple of years ago. So um, during, we had taken some classes together at church. So that was great. And so, but yeah, I'm an overall, all um, I guess all together person. I guess I'm not, just trying to make it happen. I guess, So, but yeah, so I don't have too much. I'm not sure what else should I say, but yeah, that's enough.
But yeah, that is true. We did meet from taking some classes, and one of the classes that we took was divorce care.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for our topic today of divorce, we can share some of our experiences that
Mm-hmm.
we went through when we went through divorce care. And for me, I know that it opened up my eyes to the point where I was like, I knew that there was something going on, but I did not actually fully understand the spiritual side of it.
Right,
And when I went through divorce care, I was like, okay, now this is making sense.
right.
How did you feel?
Well, just like you said, I knew I needed something because I was single and there was some emotion that I was going through during that time and I just couldn't put the pieces together. It was like there was a transition and I knew spiritually I needed guidance. I needed clarification and on what I was feeling, how to get over certain emotion. And so when the opportunity was given and there was like a divorce class, I was like, what is a divorce class? I was more, curious if anything, but I know I was like, okay, yeah, I prayed about it and I was like, maybe I need this. I need to see the after or know about what that is. So that's how it came about of me signing up for the class and just learning because we've learned a lot. Like we had a lot of questions, but
Yes.
at that class, to be honest, was I think one of the best class we've ever had. I think
Yes.
just because and just seeing that other people are going through similar situation or even worse. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
ooh, like
yeah.
I was like, man, I'm not going there. I'm not going through that. It's not that bad, but just hearing other people,
Hmm.
it also helped us. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not alone. I'm not by
Yes.
myself going through this. Because you
Yes.
can feel a lot of time you can feel secluded. You feel alone, and so just being amongst other people that are going through similar situation,
Yeah.
it did help us, get that common ground.
Yes, I agree. And when you said that, everybody was experiencing something different, and because some individuals have been divorced for like 17 years,
Yeah.
and as we went through the 13 weeks, you could still see that there was still some pain
Mm-hmm.
after different discussions had came up, and
Yeah.
you would think that after 17 years that it would just be
Be
gone,
over. Yeah.
but it's not. And it's like you had said, before we started recording, that it is a process, and
Yeah.
it's a process that is different for each and every one of us,
Mm-hmm.
because we actually were going through grief as well, and everybody grieves differently.
Really. Yeah.
So
And that,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, just to add on to the grief part. And I think after the class, that's when I allow myself to actually go through the 5 stages of grief and really, go through that process. Because a lot of time we don't allow ourselves to
Yeah.
fully, go into a process and understanding and being okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is part of it. I have to go through it,
Yeah.
So that's when I fully understood it, and I, allow myself to get through it. So I to be honest with you, that class, the divorce class, and I think I mentioned that to the teacher, the divorce class should have been given before getting married. Like that should be a class so that people are getting married before they understand like what can happen. Like you don't want to go there, like
Yes.
a prevent.
Yes.
I think that would have been so effective in a lot of marriages, and for them to even get into it, that would have been a really good class to complete, have that certificate complete before getting married, so they can understand the devastation of getting a divorce. Make it work.
Yes.
If you can, make it work before you get there.
Yes. Yes. And and I actually remember I remember you mentioning that as well in class. Yeah. I remember that.
I mean, they
so
should.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have a class. I mean, or amongst other classes, like we had the finance class, we had other classes.
The art of marriage.
The art of marriage.
Well.
Like all the classes. I don't care if we're married or not, or have a husband, boyfriend or not. We're taking all the classes.
Yeah.
Because they all come in tune together. Those are all classes that you should, learn before getting married.
Yes.
So
yes. I totally agree. And Antonella, I had a few questions for you. And so the first question that I have for you, so when you got married, did you understand fully what you were getting into?
I had the base foundation of it. I knew that, well, to answer the question, I'm going to say no, but I knew that it was, how certain scripture that kind of worked for you, but I knew that you should get married. So it's like, okay. So I, once I know it was the right thing to do. I grew up in a Christian church, Christian household, and I knew, I didn't really have an example of a good Christian marriage, but I knew, or I've seen, either on TV or whatever, but I knew that marriage was an end goal. I knew it was something that you have to do, at a young age. I think we're already programmed, at a young age. We want to have the house, we want to have, we want to be married, all of that. So that was always a goal, after high school. Okay, this is what's going to happen. So I knew that it was going to be there, whether I was, godly or not. I knew I wanted to be married. You know what I mean? It's a fairy tale, but I didn't really fully understood what marriage was, because nobody really, even my mother, I knew she was married before, but she was divorced. So that's, I didn't really have somebody to look after to talk about marriage and all that it involves. But I knew it was something that I wanted, but just because of the, it's beautiful, you get a wedding dress, all that stuff, every, girl's dream pretty much. So why not? You know what I mean? But I knew that I wanted to be married. It was going to happen regardless.
Yeah. That's good. I didn't know what I was getting into either. I was like, I love him.
You're right.
And I didn't think of the rest of the stuff.
Right. You just like, okay, I love this person. What can go wrong? We love each other, and let's get married, So, instead of living in sin, especially, you have that in the back of your mind, okay, I shouldn't be shacking up. So we might as well get married. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And I didn't get married. I didn't, when I got married, to be honest with you, it wasn't like the big wedding and stuff like that. We got married in court because it was really like short. We're like, you know what, let's just go to court and, and get married. Like, let's just do it,
Yeah.
And it was a little out of rebellious because my mother was not, she was against it. It was just, we were young, but we were like, you know what, we're just gonna do it and get it over with because we're already living together. Let's just get married. So yeah, that's how it's for me. But we knew later on we was gonna be getting, we was gonna have the wedding, but we're like, let's just get married now and figure it out.
Yeah. On. Yeah, I got married in a courthouse as well. Yeah.
Similar. So,
yeah. But so did you understand that that marriage was spiritual when you got married?
I know there was a spiritual aspect of it. Did I know how to apply it? No. Matter of fact, I think we were both, we both had different views, religious views, because at the time he was Catholic and I think my mother's, she taught us like, it was more Baptist kind of thing. So we both had different views on, but we didn't really apply it or find that out after the marriage, really.
Yeah.
Hey, we have views about certain things. Like I didn't learn this when I was young and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I knew it was, God, I knew there was a spiritual part of it, but I didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
I just knew that God was, okay, God is in it somehow. I just don't know what it is. I just know what it is. I just know that I wanted to marry. That's it. It was all about self. It's like, okay, whether he's in it or not, we want to get married.
Yeah. So. Yeah. As I was listening to you talk, it made me think about, because one of the things that I really liked about Divorce Care is, how we had those videos before we would actually have that conversation.
That conversation, yeah.
And one of the videos had Pastor Tony Evans, and he was like, people go, whether it's the courthouse or whether it's in the church, and they say their vows, and then they leave the altar and they leave God at the altar.
They do the most important part.
Yeah, not realizing that is a marriage between a man, a woman, and God. Right. And it was like when he said that, I was like, man, that makes so much sense, because God wasn't nowhere in my marriage. I mean, if I'm to be honest, and and it was like I never prayed for my husband when we were married. And well, actually, my ex-husband, his brother had passed away. And, one of the things that they say in the Bible is that what is done in the dark will come out to light.
Right.
And when his brother died, some stuff came out to light.
Right.
And when I went to the funeral, they had the wake, and my ex-husband and his girlfriend had already left. And I came in contact with one of his aunts. And
you don't learn everything now.
Yeah. And she was like, "Where's your husband?" And I was like, he left with his girlfriend. And she was like, do you want your husband back? And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "You need to pray for your husband." And that's the first time anybody told me to pray for my husband.
Yeah.
My mother had been married, never mentioned that she prayed for her husband.
Right.
My grandparents were married, never heard them mention praying, over their spouse. And I did, begin to pray, because she was like, "You don't know what's going on in that home."
Yeah.
And that's when I began to pray. But I didn't know to pray.
You didn't know that you could even do that. Right.
Yeah.
And likewise, I have too. Yeah, I didn't know that you can even pray for that person, and
Yeah.
or how to, you know,
Yes.
what to say,
Hmm.
because prayer. I mean, prayer is such an important, it's vital in our is a lifestyle. So
Yes.
if you're not really praying for, like, you know, if it's not part of your lifestyle, how do you pray for someone else? You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so yeah, but it's just so important knowing, you know, when you're married and praying together, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, you know, not to cut you off, but just the power of prayer. If you don't really know or taught to how to pray or what to pray
Yeah.
for, then it's like, okay, what am I praying about? Like,
Yeah.
well, how do I do
Yeah.
it?
That's so true. Because if we don't know how to pray specifically, effectively, fervently, the enemy will use our ignorance
Yeah.
to wreak havoc in our marriage.
Oh yeah.
And and it's like when we don't know, even though we're ignorant of it, the enemy is not
Hmm.
ignorant.
He's sure not, and he will use whatever
Yeah.
openings you allow him to use. And
Yes.
God is not in it, then what is holding us together? Because God is
Exactly.
the glue that holds that marriage together. So
Hmm.
if God is not in it, then we're going apart. You know,
Yes.
what put us back together? You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Hmm.
So yeah, it was. I've learned that about at the divorce class. See, we've learned a lot in the divorce class. We were like, man, oh my
Yeah.
God, we're
Yes.
looking at each other like, you know, we had so many questions that even after, you know, I remember we were like kept asking the teacher some questions like, oh my goodness, like,
Yes.
you know, it's just, oh man, like I said, that's why I thought, I was like, you know what, this class should have been given before,
Yes.
just
Yes.
because.
And it should be, especially individuals that are in the church. I feel like it should be, mandatory that they take it, especially if they expect that particular pastor to do the ceremony. Um,
Hmm.
it's like, hey, this is going to be a requirement that you
Right.
take this 13-week. And then you remember the divorce care was longer than art of marriage.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
it was like 5 more weeks than the art of
Yeah.
marriage.
Exactly.
So it's something that is very important that individuals understand this,
Right.
that divorce is
It's
actually,
real.
yes, and it's traumatic.
Yes, it is.
It's traumatic, it's devastating. And one of the things I was thinking about, Antonella, before we had the this let's talk, I was thinking about how I would see individuals. They're like, I'm having a divorce party. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
I make a good thing out of it.
I'm this, that, other, and I'm like, are they really telling the truth?
They have a divorce cake and all. They going all out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like, regardless of the how the divorce ended, even if you have, even if there's abuse, even if there's abandonment, arguing or whatever, you still are one flesh with that person. That
Hmm.
divorce tears the flesh apart. So
Hmm.
for people to be like they're not experiencing anything,
Right.
are they really telling the truth?
Right. And then sometimes I did find myself walking in false humility because I was like, okay, so I got divorced. I was like, you know, I'm gonna do, I just can't wait to be single and do, you know, what I want to do and not be held down. So it was, I do understand where that come from. But again, it's not having that spiritual foundation
Yeah.
and understanding, okay, yeah, like this is what I'm doing. Like I'm actually divorcing a person. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not having the proper counseling, you know, godly counsel around you, the right people around you to teach you or talk to during that time. You
Yeah.
know, that's a big part of it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I totally understand. So, you know, you're trying to make a good out of a bad situation. But again, like I said, not having that proper spiritual foundation or not knowing or being ignorant of it is
Yeah.
like, okay, well, let me do this because
Yeah.
it's about me anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
So the next question that I have, for you. So you actually answered the question, but I wanted to go a little bit more into it. And the question was, did anyone in your family experience a separation or a divorce?
Yeah. So my mother, we grew up and I guess, well, they got divorced at a younger age anyway. So while I was, while I was young, because I remember living in separate household and I grew up more with my dad, my dad's side of the family when they got divorced. So when I would go back to live with my mom, then I remember she adding on her last name or changing my last name. Then when I would move back to with my dad, then he would change the last name. So it was just always this, like, why am I going through all of this confusion, stuff like that. And, with my dad's side of the family, they were Jehovah's Witnesses. And then with my mom's side of the family, she was Baptist. So it was never like a real, solid foundation in the spiritual part. I was always mostly confused. So it was really, I knew that there was a God somewhere, but it was not really like a steady or consistent religious belief. It was just like, okay, well, I know when I'm with this person, this is what it is. And when I'm with here, this is what it is. And I've seen also the effect, mostly on my mother's side. She had a lot of resentment, anger towards my dad. Every time I would be with her, she would just say all these bad things about him, but then when I went back to live with my dad, it was always, hey, just worry about me being a good father to you. But he didn't have anything bad towards, to say towards her. He wasn't a good, I know he had other women because he was not he couldn't be with just one. So he had a lot of different women out there and kids, but the fact that whenever I was with my mother, she always had anger. She was rooted in unforgiveness. She always wished bad. I was like, man, I never want to be like this. Like, I want to get married. We're going to get married and we're going to stay together. Like, I wanted to be married, but I was like, why is she feeling this way? He's a good father to me, but is the effect, parents sometimes doesn't see the effect that it caused on their children as well. Because then at that point, I'm like, okay, what is it that, she didn't really, I guess she never really was able to show me the good side of being married. I just knew it was something I wanted to have because, you watch TV, it looks beautiful on TV with the roses and candy. And so there's the fantasy of it. I just had fantasy of it. And I knew I just wanted to be married. So regardless of what was going on with them, I was like, okay, this is not going to be me. I'm going to be married. I'm going to have this, and this, and this. So, of course, God wasn't in it, but I was like, okay, well, I know this, and this is going to happen, So, yeah, that was my experience kind of growing up. It wasn't really, I never, like I said before, I never really seen a godly marriage, growing up. And, of course, I never seen her praying for him. So that wasn't going to be something that I was going to learn or practice because I didn't learn that from her. The only thing that I've learned from her was all the resentment and the anger that she was having towards him. And I was like, no, I don't want to be that. I don't want to feel like, it was always that back in my mind. Like, how can you have so much hate, for somebody else loving to me? So yeah, that's how my experience was.
Oh, that's so good, Antonella, because mine was kind of the opposite. Because I actually my parents, they divorced when I wasn't quite 1 year old, and didn't really have a relationship with my father until I was in my 20s. And we began to write back and forth. We began to write letters. And Antonella, like when I would mention my mom, it was like he would just lose it.
I hate this lady.
And I couldn't understand it. And
Right.
one of the things about my mom is like, she never said anything negative about my dad,
Mm.
um, until I ended up getting sick,
Hmm.
and in 2008, and I needed to have major surgery done.
Okay.
And they ended up taking my gallbladder, my spleen, and part of my pancreas.
Oh,
So
wow.
my mom was able to do some type of family leave to come take care of me in Tampa. So she was with me for about, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. And sis, how about my dad happens to call me, right? Because he had got one of my letters and he was like, I didn't even open up your letter. He said, I saw your letter and I just thought I would give you a call. And
Hmm.
not even thinking about it, I was like, my mom is here with to take care of.
Oh,
Oh
right.
my goodness. It was like I might as well have said the devil is sitting on the couch.
Is that what?
I mean, he went off and I began to cry. And
Yeah.
my mom was like, give me that phone, give me that phone. And I was like,
Oh my
no.
goodness.
So I ended up hanging up on him. And um, my mom, she started to get upset because she saw that I was upset. And then she began to share that if I would have known some of the things that had transpired in their marriage, that pretty
Hmm.
much she should be the one that is upset,
Up there, not him.
not him. So she ended up asking me for his address, and I was like, well, I'll go ahead and give her his address. And she wrote him a letter. Don't know what it said. Still to this day, don't know what it said. But one of my
Oh
paternal
Lord.
aunts told me that I don't know what your mom put in that letter, but it upset your dad. And like, and I think that what she said, I think what this stems from is that he felt that she should have been the one to help save the marriage.
Mm.
And
So the weight on her.
yeah, yeah. And so my mom, so she had that divorce. And then when I was 11, my mother, she remarried, and that ended in divorce. So that's what
Mm.
I ended up, experiencing. And then as I started to get a better understanding of the spiritual side, and it's like when we are dealing with because as we stated, marriage is spiritual,
Hmm.
divorce is spiritual. So I had those two divorces in my bloodline,
Right.
and did not realize that because as we stated, the enemy,
Crafty.
he's crafty, and he was just waiting for the perfect storm to
Hmm.
happen. And I didn't know to pray against that. I didn't
Right.
know to pray and, do spiritual warfare, that my marriage does not end the same as my mother's marriages ended.
Right.
That, to cover us, to
Right.
not let there be a breach or a gap in our marriage. I didn't know how to do that.
Right.
And
Right.
so it was it to know that those divorces had
Hmm.
a direct link to my
Right.
divorce. So
It's like a generational curse that needs to be broken, and
mhm,
you have to be the one that's breaking it off.
yes,
Like not letting this happen. Like if what when we're aware, we will be spiritually aware,
mhm,
because not being or having that foundation, that spiritual foundation, it goes over your head because you don't know what's happening. But if we had that spiritual foundation, then when those attack comes, we know how to fight.
Yeah.
And that's what the enemy does not want you to do. He doesn't want you to fight him. Like
Yeah.
he wants it to he just wants he just want to bring, chaos in your life and fighting and divorce, destroy.
Yeah.
Kill, steal, and destroy. And that is true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and man, it was, like I said, I know we talk about that divorce class, but it just brought a lot of, light to everything that we were going through. And everything was like, yeah, oh my God, it makes sense now. This is what I was going through. Oh my goodness. So, but yeah, it's very important. And also, having a good, godly man of God, a man that leads, that can lead you.
Yeah.
We don't know. I didn't know what that was. Like, what is that?
I didn't either.
Man. It was just like, I just want a man. I didn't know what godly man was. I just want a man that loves me.
Yeah.
Whatever he got going on with God, that's on him. But as long as he loved me, that's what matters. And when you have prayed, what you mentioned, you want us, God to give you a man that loves God more than he loves you. Mm-hmm. And that's so important. A lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Having a husband that loves God, that's on fire for God.
Yeah.
That sees you in God's lens.
Yeah.
That's just so much much more important than, having a man that's idolizing you. And, that's just too much pressure. I'd rather you love God than you love me. Because in a time where you don't love me or you're going through something, God, the Father steps in. Okay, the Father, because sometimes you just gotta love the person, the God in the person. Okay, because you have to be able to see God through him. So yeah, I want you to love God because I want God to be able to step in and put that correction in you. There's gonna be time people don't know that. There's gonna be time where you're not gonna meet eye to eye. There's gonna be time, but then that's the time that God steps in. Like, God, hey, I'm giving you, this is your son. Take over, God. Let him have you.
Yes, that is so true. Because one of the things that, I didn't even realize it until I started taking these different, I took a couple different courses about relationships. And then there's one individual that I follow on Facebook, and and he's pretty much on the male perspective, and it's like, I never, like, when I was married, like, my husband was never like, okay, this is what I have planned for the family, this is where I see the family, and it was like, even in the home, like, he wasn't the priest of the home.
Right.
There was different, like, chaos going in the home between he and I. He and I didn't have biological children, but he had children, and there were things going on in their lives. And I'm like, does he not see what I'm seeing?
Right, exactly.
And he's the man.
He's the man, exactly.
My biological children, and I'm sensing that there's something off going on in their lives. Excuse me, going on in their lives.
Right.
And it's like, and it was like he was oblivious to what was going on in the household. And I was like, that is so odd. And at the time, I didn't understand that it was a spiritual thing, but I just knew, I was like, something is off in his household. Something is not in alignment in his household.
Right.
But it's like, but him as the man, him as the priest of the house.
Exactly. They hold a higher responsibility. Like, you expect women, we're supposed to be submissive, but at the same time, where are you leading me to? Are you following Christ? That's the thing. How do you put order in the house, in the household? So, and those are important things as a woman of God. Now they're like, okay, well, those are the characteristics that I would need my man to have. Like, he needs to be the priesthood, he needs to bring order in the household, and we need to be following Christ. Like, what are you doing? What are,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
And this just dropped in my spirit. Excuse me for a minute. I don't know why I didn't bring any water. You had some water
yeah, I got
earlier.
water, girl. What you need?
Um,
It's an off-brand water, but hey, it's water.
so what had dropped in my spirit was us being helpmeets. And when we sense that there is chaos in the home, when we sense that our husband is not taking his role, that is when we come in and we pray. We
Mhm.
and we're
Yeah,
like, Heavenly Father, there is something going on in this household. Your son, my husband, is not sensitive.
yeah,
Reveal it to him, because he's
correct.
not going to receive from me, but he will
Correct.
receive from his father.
You. Yeah, that's
And
right.
that's what, we will need to do when God blesses us with another marriage and we see that
Ma'am.
going out of order. We got to go in that prayer room and be like, God,
Yeah,
I know he
right.
ain't going to receive from me, but he
Right.
will receive from you.
That's right. And I mean, now that we've been divorced and had that experience and knowing what a non-godly marriage looks like, it's during this singleness is that time for where we're practicing, because we see ourselves already as wives.
Yeah.
And and I don't want people to take that for granted, because during this time of your singleness is probably the best time for you to actually have that relationship with God. Allow him to come in, pour in that wisdom that as women we're supposed to have, get rid of all the distraction that's around you right now, so that the transition now, once you do, once God bless us with the men of God, it will be an easier transition, because we're already walking in that, and we're already having that posture. We're already submitting to our Father. So then at that point, when the man of God does come, it will be easier for us. It's going to be easy. It's going to flow, So during that singleness, make it a point, be intentional in learning about yourself, learning about, getting rid of all the negativity, the anger, the unforgiveness that you're holding in your heart, things like that. Because now I'm learning, I've been learning about the unforgiveness, and, when you're married, you're going to be constantly forgiving that person.
Yeah.
Ain't going to be no holding grudge, and, because you're living with this person. So there's something that you need to master. There's a lot of things that we need to master while being single, about ourselves. And God will reveal that to you. If you don't know it already, God will reveal that to you. But when we did the class, I was like, okay, well, there's a lot of things I need to work on then. So I was still holding on to so many emotions and, walking in false humility and just thinking, okay, I did forgive him because blah, 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 but I didn't. I was still feeling upset about something. I was still angry, all those things. I was okay, I need to work on that. This is not what I want my future husband to see or be, and, because again, when you are married, everything is kind of exposed. You're not able to fool anybody. He's gonna see what he's dealing with, when you're angry about something, or how you're dealing with, communication. Are you giving him the silent treatment? Are you, are you a good communicator?
Yeah.
Things like that. And, like in the Bible, it says slow to anger, things like that. Don't sleep being angry. It makes sense now. I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. I shouldn't be upset, going to sleep, being angry at my significant other. Those are all for a purpose, so learning our our word, that is so important right now while you're single. Because again, I was like, while you're single is this perfect time, because now you have all the time to spend with God. You have more time to spend with God. You have more time to learn your word, so that when you're already married, those are things already in you. You're already full. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, be intentional about your singleness, ladies. Do not allow this time to like pass and just you thinking, okay, I just need a man, but then you can't keep a man at that. You know what I mean? You don't have what what the whole time that you're single, you were not being intentional about learning your word and knowing how to pray. This is the perfect time now. Learn how to pray.
Yeah.
Have that relationship with God now. Because again, once you get married, then your time is split now because now you have a husband, you got to do things with him, so, but I think also, like I said, we have that experience. I know God, everything happened for a purpose, but we have like, we see things in a different, I don't know if anybody in that class didn't experience divorce. I'm not sure, but because we've been divorced, we have like, I'm not saying the up because it's not something to celebrate, but we kind of like, okay, we have the experience.
Yes.
Now we know what to do or what not to do.
Yes. Yes.
So.
Yes. Wow. Antonella, everything that you said was so good to the point where it's like, I don't have nothing else to say.
All good to God.
I just want to thank you so much for you're actually going to be my first Let's Talk guest. And I don't want you to think that I'm not going to reach out to you again.
Anytime, I'm here for you, girl.
Because one of the things also that I was thinking about before I close out this Let's Talk, I was thinking that, you, myself, a couple of the other ladies that went through divorce care, and the way that we connected, the way that we, even as I'm talking about it now, I'm getting chills.
Yeah, I do.
And it's like we became so close.
Yes, we did.
From a divorce.
Yeah.
And how God places individuals in our lives when we need them the most. And we don't even realize that we need them the most.
Yeah.
But God does. And I just want to, thank you for, being in my life. And no, we don't see each other like we were seeing each other those, every week.
Before, right.
But even before I hit record, it was like we just jumped right
we just
back.
Knew. That's right.
No,
we didn't skip a beat. It was just like, my sister, that's my sister in Christ. Let's do this.
Yeah. And I thank you. I love you. And I know that God is going to continue to bless you. God is going to continue to expand your territory.
Amen.
And everybody that comes in contact with you, when they walk away, they're not going to be the same because they're going to see the light of Jesus Christ in you.
Amen.
And I just want to thank you. And
thank you.
Know that, even though, we don't see each other as often as, we may like, I pray that, that will change.
Right.
And we will be able to
stay connected.
Yeah, because we both live in Tampa.
That's right. There shouldn't be no reason why we don't connect, Yeah. So, but yeah, I do appreciate being in part of the show. But you just know that whatever you need, if you need to get in touch with me, I'm just a click away. If you have another topic or discussion that you need me to be a part of, I am so happy and available for you, sis. I see what the move of God in you. So keep going. This is definitely going to bless somebody, if not just one. Somebody's going to hear this and needs this. So keep on doing the work of God and spreading the good news.
Thank you, sis.
You're welcome. Love you too. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.